We've sent over 10,000 students overseas now in the last 4 years as part of DME Global, but for the first time we've had students simultaneously in many different European destinations at the same time.
Because the focus of the trip was about global citizenship and what it means to be a global citizen, we wanted to immerse our students in lots of different environments and work with lots of different communities across Central Europe.
We've had students on this DME Global trip travelling to many different European destinations all at the same time. And they've all converged on Berlin for the final day of the trip. So we've had students in Paris, in Amsterdam and in Brussels, all engaging with local organisations that are committed to the public good as we are as a university.
So we spent 2 full days in Paris. The purpose of the visit was to visit NGOs and who work with refugees within the city of Paris, mainly. So on the first day we went to visit Utopia 56.
It's an organisation, only 2 people are employed and there's 38 people, so the rest is all volunteering. And what they do is they go out onto the streets and just go and see and find refugees that they may be able to help.
There was one man, he came from Italy the night before and he told us he slept on the park bench, and I don't think his story was a unique story.
It had an emotional impact to them, and I think it will entice them and push them forward to do better things in the future.
It has made me think of what I can do back home. So when I get back, I'm going to be looking at what organisations and in what ways that I can help.
So our first day in Brussels, we went to a trans-migrant centre, which was in Heron, and what we did was we were working with a volunteer organisation that prepares breakfasts and dinners, as well as beds for asylum seekers.
And we also did a walking tour around the city, following the route that asylum seekers and refugees will follow whenever they first come to Brussels.
Emotionally, it was a bit shocking to see how many people were actually gathered there and who would be getting food and a warm place to sleep at night.
I will go back home and I will tell people, you know, we do not realise how lucky we are. And although a lot of people say that, this gives you real perspective to say, no, you really don't know how lucky you are.
So we visited a museum which was specifically focused on bags and purses, but they had a really interesting exhibition about the kind of travels that a refugee would take and what they would take with them.
And whilst we were looking at bags, we were also looking at the stories that they had based on what the refugees had to go through. And the one that touched me the most was the one with the seeds, as one of the refugees had taken some seeds from their hometown in Syria to plant them in Amsterdam, just to remind them of their home life in Syria, just to make them feel welcome and put them at ease.
Following on from that, we spent some time with the Right to Education group, who are based at University College Amsterdam, and they have a really interesting project which focuses on teaching language to refugees and asylum seekers.
And the refugees are trying to also to show the students their culture, to tell them stuff about their culture, their own languages, so it's like the exchange between them. Yeah.
So we're here on a tour that's engaging with all sorts of activities relating to either refugees or people who are in quite vulnerable situations. So we've been on a tour with one of the refugees from Syria.
And he spoke about like the experiences that they've had when they first got here and how they're being treated as part of the community in Berlin.
I think we've got a bit of an insight into what it's like to come to a country where it's so different than what you're used to, and having to try and blend in or kind of integrate, and how important that integration is.
This has changed my perspective in a way, because it's shown me how the refugees are kind of assimilating into Berlin, how they're being a part of the community now.
The purpose of this trip is to get our students to think about what it means to be a global citizen, and by working in 4 different cities across Europe and then coming together to share ideas, we've been able to develop different perspectives and share different types of knowledge.
Well, we created DMU Global to give our students those soft skills that are vital for employability, to also expose them to different and new experiences that they wouldn't necessarily have in the classroom.
I would highly recommend that other students come and volunteer with DMU, because they organise lots of different activities for students.
It's a great opportunity. You know, it gives you practical skills, and it also gives you a real perspective on your life.
It's been amazing. It's better than what I expected. I definitely know that this won't be my last DMU Global trip. I'm looking forward to the future. The city's been great, so have the people, their culture, their history's been so rich.
I think it's important that the things that they've learned today just don't end here, that they keep going and they think about the role they want to play in society.